Hey, good morning. It is a beautiful Monday morning right here in Indy. Let's get right to it. Race permeated the entire weekend in a great women's basketball NCAA Final Four. It was absolutely fantastic. Regardless of who you were rooting for, regardless of the color of your skin, it was absolutely fantastic. And I got to tell you, congratulations, Kim Mulkey, Angel Reese, and the rest of the LSU Tigers. They did what Kim Mulkey came there to do, what she come to LSU to do, whoop up on folks. And she did, but race permeated the entire thing. Let's go backwards. Let's start from the end. Angel Reese beats Caitlin Clark. Okay, you could also say that LSU beat Iowa. I don't know if you know that, but LSU did beat Iowa, and LSU trounced Iowa. Iowa had nothing for LSU. LSU played great. LSU played with a chip on their shoulder. LSU was not going to lose. Where race came in was this. After the game, I've never seen this. Now, I've been in college basketball, around college basketball a long time. I've never seen this. I have no problem with it. I have no problem with taunting. I have no problem with going back at somebody. I have no problem with playing with a chip on your shoulder. That's how I got to Indiana, for crying out loud, being a guy that couldn't touch the rim. At a time when Indiana was the best program, played with an incredible chip, talked all kind of smack, had absolutely no interest in anybody else's feelings. So I like what Angel Reese did, but I got to tell you, I've never seen it in a national championship environment post-game. I've never seen it. Usually when you win a national championship, you're so excited, you jump up with your teammates. But hey, look, the game was in hand for a couple minutes, so Angel Reese had the opportunity to think about this and then taunt Caitlin Clark, showing the ring finger, doing the John Cena, which apparently Caitlin Clark had done before. And of course, here's where race comes in. African Americans say nobody said anything when Caitlin Clark did it. White guys are saying, hey, look, this is not sportsmanlike. I don't care either way. But race played a huge factor in this. Race played a huge factor in the game. Let's see the quote from Angel Reese after the game. Now, you got to remember, this is an all-white team, basically, I think, for Iowa against an all-black team playing for LSU. And earlier in the tournament, Dawn Staley opened the door by talking about race, how her team was perceived. Well, you know, my sense of Dawn Staley is she liked how her team was perceived until she lost, but I could be wrong because she did go at Gino Auriemma after they had won the game, but I digress. So let's see Angel Reese's statement after the game. Now, you're never going to read any of this from any of the female journalists around because they're too busy telling you, well, you've never seen anybody talk trash. Well, you must not have heard of Michael Jordan. Yes, no, I get it. You're exactly right. Everybody talks trash, but, ladies and gentlemen, but, not after the game on the court of a national championship game. Nobody talked more yang, we used to call it, than Larry Bird and Irvin Magic Johnson. But nobody talked more. Here is what she said. I don't fit in the box that y'all want me to be in. True. Oh, let's go to the video. I'm sorry. I didn't know we had the video. Let's show the video of Angel Reese.
I'm happy. I mean, all year I was critiqued about who I was. The narrative, I don't fit the narrative. I don't fit in the box that y'all want me to be in. I'm too hood, I'm too ghetto. Y'all told me that all year. But when other people do it, y'all don't say nothing. So this was for the girls that look like me, that's going to speak up on what they believe in. It's unapologetically you. And that's what I did it for tonight. This was for it was bigger than me tonight. It was bigger than me. Twitter is going to go in a rage every time. And, I mean, I'm happy. I feel like I've helped grow women's basketball this year. I'm super happy and excited. So I'm looking forward to celebrating in the next season.
Yeah, good for her, man. And again, it's all about race. Girls that look like me. What if I said, I only do this show for men that look like me? I get what she's saying, and that's great. But don't try to tell me race did not factor in when other people do it. She's talking about Caitlin Clark. She's talking about white people. There's a reporter that says when they do it, but when we do it. It's clearly divided along racial lines, and I got to tell you, that's part of sports. It's absolutely part of sports. 5 little white girls are trying to beat her, and she's not having it. She ain't having it. See, that's how folks in basketball describe, you little white guy. You white mother. I mean, hey, look, I lived it my entire life, growing up in Gary, Indiana, and whooping up on everybody. Everybody. Oh, white mother. I mean, it's a basketball thing, and it's no big deal. And then you'd laugh and whoop up on folks. But this was clearly about race yesterday. It was about 2 things, actually, race and the officials, although the officials had nothing to do. Well, they had a lot to do, but the better team won. And I like what I keep calling her Gabriella Reese, what Reese said. She's fantastic, and she's right. Look, every athlete looks for something to use as a chip on their shoulder. Everyone does. Michael Jordan famously did it, and everybody jumps up and down and stands on their head and craps snowballs and goes, oh, look at Michael Jordan. So you know what? LSU, Angel Reese, and the rest did the same thing. But I've never seen it at the end of a national championship game. Go back and look at every national championship game you've ever seen. And I don't mind seeing it because here we are talking about women's basketball. If I am Iowa or I am Kim Mulkey or I am the NCAA, I demand these 2 teams play to start the season next year. Let's get a build-up. You know, everybody's telling me women's basketball has arrived, and certainly from tickets and TV and exposure, it has. But here's when it's really arrived, when they pay their own freight. When the basketball and the football doesn't have to pay for it. That's when you've arrived, really arrived on campus. In the media, you've arrived. There's no question. The game was anticipated, ruined a bit by the officials. She wins. She gets to get up there to the victors go to spoil. Caitlin Clark got a dose of her own medicine with this whole thing, and you know what? She handled it fine. That's the beauty of it. Caitlin Clark handled it fine. She said, yeah, I didn't really see it. I was just trying to stay on the court. But she got a dose of her own medicine. If you're going to talk trash, then you got to be able to handle talking trash when it's right back to you. But don't tell me race had nothing to do with this. This was all about race. All right, the officials had nothing to do with about race. Like, I got a lot of people saying, well, you know, 3 African-American officials. That had nothing to do. I never looked at that as a coach, 100 years. Maybe you do, I don't. I looked at that strict incompetence. The Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusivity had to be very happy. But there's no chance in hell these 3 officials were the best 3 officials in women's college basketball. There is no chance in hell. And if they are, women's college basketball officiating absolutely stinks. Hell, there was one of these ladies that couldn't get up and down the court. She was like, it was like an AAU tournament where a dude's making $5 a game. It had nothing to do with race. That had to do with incompetence. It had to do with incompetence in the women's basketball committee. It had to do with something other than putting the best on the court for the biggest game maybe ever in college women's basketball. Period. You say whatever you'd like. The technical foul on Caitlin Clark was idiotic. The officials lied about it. Good for Rebecca Lobo. Good for Ryan Rucco for calling him out. Twitter did rage, but it didn't really rage about Reese until after the game. It was raging the entire game about the officials. It was horrific. And again, when you just acquiesce and you worry more about the DEI office than you do about the job at hand, you get Pete Buttigieg and you get these officials from last night. It's just what is real. You want to see it? Watch ESPN. That's all there is there. That's it. The DEI office is happy. Some guy with a thing is happy. But you hurt women that deserve better. You hurt women that had played their brains out all year long, got to the biggest game of the year, the most watched game of the year, and you brought incompetence into it. Now, LSU, better team. Oh, better team. But I got to tell you, the officials embarrassed themselves. All right, Dawn Staley opened this whole race thing. Now, Dawn Staley, I like her. She's fine. I don't really pay that much attention to her. She's got commercials with Kay. They're not good enough. Those 2 are legendary coaches. They should have better commercials. You know what I'm saying? They should have much better commercials. The commercials that they're playing are crap. All right, let's see Dawn Staley's video for the other day where, of course, she loses. I would like to see one quote. She's going to say you called us monkeys. I would love for anybody to send me that where somebody actually said that, or was this just made up to race bait? Let's hear.
Times other coaches, your colleagues, have sitting in that spot and talked about you all being bullies. What's the truth about your team?
The truth about our team, okay? It's a good question, okay? We're not bar fighters. We're not thugs. We're not monkeys. We're not street fighters. This team exemplifies how you need to approach basketball on the court and off the court.
I don't doubt that for a second. I don't. I mean, I'm a big fan of Aaliyah Boston. I'm a big fan of the way they handled themselves. I mean, in defeat, the players. Aaliyah Boston covering up her teammate is one of the iconic moments from this tournament. But show me anywhere where anybody called her team monkeys. I mean, I would be very curious about that. I think Jason Whitlock said the same thing, like, hey, look, if they did, then that person needs to be fired immediately and never work in the sports or any industry again other than fast food. Go work in fast food. I want to see that. If that is true, then my God, and I assume it is true because Dawn Staley said it was at a national press conference. Bar fighters, I've seen where people say they're overly physical. I've seen where people say they're a tough crowd. All right. I'm sure you use that. Let's go out tough them. Let's go do this. But I would love to see anyone, anytime, anywhere, show me an example where somebody called her team monkeys. That is egregious. That is fireable. That is bannable. That should never be allowed in any sport, in any context, calling a team that. I don't even care what team. I don't even care if it's Iowa's women's basketball. You don't call people that. So I would love, if anybody has it out there, I would love to see that reference, and then I'll go nuts on the person that did it because, frankly, that has no part at all whatsoever in this. None. Zip. Zero. Zilch. Now, if you made it up, that's not a great thing, and I assume that she did not. But to the victor go the spoils, right? To the victor go the spoils. Congratulations, LSU women's basketball. You were very tough. You were very good. You stood up and you made shot after shot after shot, got in the stance, defended. The difference in the game was the fact that Caitlin Clark could not get to the rim. And if you really want to know the difference in the game, Kim Mulkey showed herself to be a 20 times better coach than Dawn Staley because Dawn Staley's players are still hugged onto their man outside the three-point line while Caitlin Clark goes and beats her man and lays it in. I mean, listen, Kim Mulkey wasn't having it. Kim Mulkey's team did exactly what I tell you good teams do. They took away the lane and got to shooters. Gave up 75 points or whatever it was, scored 92. What a celebration of women's basketball. And I ain't even mad at Kim Mulkey's outfit. Of course it says, look at me, look at me, look at me. But you know what? So what? So did Bob Knight's checkered jacket. So did Mike Krzyzewski's corporate rat-faced look. That's not fair. Anyway, I digress. Good for everybody involved because here we are on a Monday. We're talking passionately about it. Women's basketball, you have arrived on the national scene. You will really arrive when you can pay your own freight. Now, it's hard to do. Basketball, men's doesn't really do it. But in terms of women's basketball, I'd like to see them get their own TV contract, get their own thing, and really bust it out because it's fun to watch. Hey, thanks for watching Don't At Me with me, Dan Dakich. Make sure to like, subscribe, or click the notification bell for more of my beautiful face. Check out my full show to my right or watch this other video. See ya.